What defines me as a man? I mean, you can have the academic answer if you want, the whole, oh, it's because society assumes that I should dress like this and be like this, and when I look at, I don't know, representations of men, I see myself in that. I do, obviously you think about it a lot and you're shaped by it hugely, and particularly your childhood and you kind of who you relate to and who you pick your images from. That is hugely defined by my own perception of what I want to be as a man. I don't necessarily think about who I am as a man a lot of the time because it's quite static. I generally think about who I want to be as a man because, like, I mean, when you're 21, you're still quite young. It's still quite a formative age. So yeah, I guess, and not necessarily, and even who I want to be as a man, there's obviously a lot of discussion around that, but like who you want to be as a person and stuff, and things you don't want to be as a man is also a very big thing, like the kind of man you don't want to be, and you see a lot of that. I do feel a huge pressure to to conform to different expectations of me, whether they're not necessarily masculine expectations. And I'm certainly conscious of trying to avoid things that would constitute toxic masculinity. But I'm very aware that I'm often not my own man. Or an own human being in that respect, in terms of decision making, and particularly with relationships with your family or your loved ones and kind of what you think they expect of you. So it's very difficult to kind of separate that, I think, particularly now where I'm kind of like, what do I want to do with my life? What do I want my life to mean? Which is a completely absurd question in and of itself. I kind of got obsessed with this question, how do I define value in my life? And it's like, I don't know. And I think I found it quite difficult to kind of separate myself from that, particularly from what... So I'm from Guildford, which is down south, and it's kind of this terrifyingly dull suburbia just outside of London. And like, some of my mates will probably go to uni, go work in London for like 5-10 years, meet someone, and then go have kids and move back literally where their parents are, and they'll all live in like a same square kilometre. And is that what you want? Big question. And what does it mean? Like, who am I responsible for? At 21, you're responsible for no one, but by 27, you could be responsible for, I don't know, partner, kids, whoever, or like your parents, even if something were to happen. Or so it's interesting in terms of, I think I'm overly conscious actually of which boxes I feel I have to fulfill, and so that's almost paralysing. Yeah, I don't know. I find the first film I ever cried at was Senna, the documentary on Ayrton Senna when he dies. I kind of knew it was going to happen. Obviously, you know it's going to happen. It's not like a spoiler, but Ayrton Senna dies. But I thought that was absolutely tragic. Like, really human moments are interesting. That's like when people are really vulnerable and you kind of just like crying. Like, crying is a thing. It's just awesome. Like, weird, but it's amazing when you watch crying. You feel so connected weirdly, but often people never let themselves in on that, I think. Whereas I prefer doing that because I like to be understood. I like to kind of, rather than sitting there and just kind of being like, oh, no one gets me. No, I'm letting myself into it more, I think, rather like allowing myself to cry rather than. It is a nice thing. I think it's really like hugely cathartic. Yeah.